Browns back at practice getting ready to face the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And one of the things they have to figure out this week, Mary Kay, is who is going to kick for them. Now, Kevin Stefanski continues to stand behind Dustin Hopkins, continues to say all the right things about Dustin, but the Browns earlier this week did sign Riley Patterson to the practice squad. And listening to Kevin today, while he did again stand behind Dustin Hopkins, didn't seem to rule out anything out specifically for this week.
No, actually, he said they are going to work through their kicker situation for Sunday against the Chiefs. And I think that's very telling. To bring in Riley Patterson, who, of course, was with them last year after Dustin Hopkins pulled the hamstring on Christmas Eve, I think that's very, very significant that Riley is here and he's going to be ready to go. Now, it's just a matter of seeing how these guys go through the practice week. Has Dustin Hopkins worked through the kinks? Is he making kicks in practice? I actually think they should go down to the stadium and see how that goes. But they have Riley waiting in the wings just in case.
Yeah, and Ashley, of course, we all talked to Dustin after the game on Sunday. He's just having a rough time of things right now, and maybe a little mental break for Dustin would be a good thing.
Maybe, and I think just having another kicker in the building, because they haven't had that for him really, and I think oftentimes at that position especially, you hear guys talk about bouncing ideas off of one another. Dustin on Sunday talked about his swing thought and maybe needing help with that. I think the best person to maybe help you with that is another kicker. I think it's actually maybe the most unique position on a football team because of that and how those guys work together even when they are in direct competition with each other, like these two are going to be this week.
All right, now we're also keeping an eye on David Njoku. He missed practice today with a hamstring injury in Mary Kay. It sounds like it's going to be pretty tough for David to get out there against the Chiefs on Sunday.
Yeah, I really don't think he's going to play. I think they are going to be looking at Jordan Akins starting this game, Blake Whiteheart coming in and being the second tight end, and then they signed another tight end to the practice squad in Trey McKitty. So I do think that that's a tell right there. When you sign a guy to a practice squad, it means that there's something going on that could be pretty serious. So I'm not expecting David Njoku to play in this game, and I think that's really unfortunate because he's a big, huge target for Jameis Winston, and he's had good games against the Chiefs. One silver lining is the fact that Ced Tillman returned to practice today on a limited basis with the concussion, and he's a big guy, too, that can give you sort of that tall ball that you need.
And, Ashley, we've seen some production from Jordan Akins, obviously, this year. We've seen Blake Whiteheart make a couple of plays, so they should be able to get some level of production out of that tight end spot, but, of course, not having David out there is a big loss.
Yeah, I agree with Mary Kay, though. Even just hearing the way that Jameis Winston talked about Jordan Akins and Blake Whiteheart today, it just kind of seemed like, hey, everyone knows it's not very likely that we're going to see David Njoku in this game. And I do think it's unfortunate, too, knowing how close David is with Travis Kelce, obviously, the Chiefs tight end. Those two are buddies. David, I think, looks forward to matching up against him, even though it's not offense versus offense, just getting in that kind of environment. So it's been kind of a rough year for him, and this is just the latest bump in the road.
Now, Mary Kay mentioned that Ced Tillman was back at practice today. Another guy who was back at practice, Mike Hall, the rookie defensive tackle, he was designated to return to practice. So it looks like, Mary Kay, whether it's starting this week or at some point here over the next 4 weeks, the Browns are going to get a little bit of an extended look at their rookie defensive tackle who they brought in with their second-round pick. He was their top pick in the draft this last year. And that's significant because when the injury happened, some of us wondered if he was even going to play again this season.
Yeah, I think that they are really looking forward to him playing against the Chiefs. I think that's the goal. I think that is the hope. And for him to get out there today and come off IR, I think the chances are pretty good. And this would give him 4 more games to show what he can do. They were a little thin in there at the defensive tackle spot, but now both Mike Hall and Sam Kamara, who had a concussion, he was back on a limited basis today as well. So help is on the way.
And it's not just that defensive tackle position, too. I remember when he got hurt on that Thursday practice, it was actually a day when Jim Schwartz had mentioned, Ashley, that, we could move Mike Hall out to the outside, and he could maybe take some of that pressure when they traded Zadarius Smith off of Myles Garrett and become another edge rusher. So just his versatility will be welcome.
Yeah, I think definitely I won't be surprised to see him moving around that line if he is able to play this week. And again, I think it's big just to get depth back there after you lost Mo Hurst going on IR. Was that last week or earlier this week? The days have all blended together here. So they did lose a key guy who got a lot of snaps for them already. So I think it'll be good. And then for Mike Hall specifically, he hasn't played a ton of football in his rookie year. This is basically like a lost year for him. So I really do think every game is going to count for him from here on out in terms of their evaluation of his first year.
Okay, we will have full coverage of everything that happened here in Berea, the latest injury news, everything we heard from Nick Chubb today, Jameis Winston, all sorts of stuff. cleveland.com/Browns.